2015. Congratulations on the EP. It's an absolutely fantastic album, so congratulations.
Thank you so much, man. That's like, years of hard work going out, it's like exciting putting it out, but the reaction's been so cool. Like, we're all so stoked, man. And like, yeah, I really appreciate that, for real. Thank you.
So, for the Aussie listeners out there that might not be aware of the band, tell us a little bit about how you guys got together, because you've actually been formed since 2015.
Yeah, actually, I'm here. One second, I'm just going to turn it up a little bit on my system. So the band, Tris started the band in 2015, and it was kind of like a bit of a different group back then. Everybody starts somewhere, local stuff, all that good stuff. And then I joined in 2018. They were doing like a cross Canada tour. And then I actually joined on bass, because the bass spot was open, and it just went so well, and I was kind of doing some backing vocal stuff, and then, one thing led to another. Like, as bands, I guess, get a little bit bigger, things change, money gets involved, it's not for everybody, and like lineup switches happened, and then, lo and behold, we were looking for someone to step up to the plate for singing, and, it just felt right, and then, everybody agreed, and I went for it, and I guess, yeah. Now there's an album with me on it, so it's been quite a journey, but very very cool.
Had you had experience singing before that? Like, had you been the singer in other bands, or was that kind of your first having a go at singing? Was actually jumping into the spotlight here?
Yeah, well, never like this, never on this level. Like, I've done a lot of like garage bands and like kind of little fun stuff. Like, I've always loved, making basement music. Like, you buy a DAW and like a interface, and you've got all the tools you really need to start making music, So I've done a lot of kind of small stuff, but then like kind of jumping from that to like, what would eventually really quickly became like international level singing, and like, on our last tour we did like 11 shows in a row and all that kind of stuff. It's completely different, really, not nothing of the same level. So it was a learning curve for sure, and a journey, but like, honestly, being supported and surrounded by like really helpful people, and like just, yeah, having a good team of folks, and the band has been killer, and like, our record label's awesome, they're really helpful. So, I learned quick, and I learned on the fly, and it went incredible. But yeah, it was a lot of work, a lot of practice.
Well, I describe this album as having a very mature sound, but a fresh sound. Tell us a little bit about how the band's sound has evolved over the years.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, the music before wasn't so similar, I guess. Like, we've all loved like the kind of the heavy stuff. We love breakdowns and, big melodies and things like that. We've always kind of like strived for the sound, I guess. But like, when you're younger and you're not as experienced, I think that you kind of shoot for the stars, and it just kind of lands wherever it does. And we never quite had it like dialed or honed in the way that we wanted for a while, and then. That was when we came into working with like Crispin Earl from Veer Union and the record label stuff. Like, that changed the game, because he actually helped us write the songs on the album, and like, kind of having somebody in with like a lot of experience and was able to really guide us and help us like dial in exactly what we wanted. And it took like forever, but it was so worth it, because we really feel like we actually hit that mark that we were going for. On this, so it's such a trip to listen back to the songs and just think of like the journey that resulted in these. But the sound has changed a lot. Definitely a little bit more, or a little bit less mature. Maybe mature is a good word. I do agree with you on that. That the album has got a bit of that sound to it, because we worked for it. So I'm glad to hear that it's coming through.
How important was that to you to have somebody there, almost working as a mentor, but helping you with the music? Because we're seeing a thing here in Australia at the moment where I think COVID's actually caused this, where bands are like, you know what, I don't need a producer, we can just do this at home and do it on our own. How important was that to you to have that mentor there and help you out with this album?
Man, it was, I mean, we made it with them, and that was the way that it went down. So I'll never know quite what it would have been like to make it without a producer. But in my opinion, it was like night and day different. Like, I guess been trying to make these songs, by ourselves, in our bedrooms on the computer for quite a while. And there's some songs on the album that are like pretty close to the demos, like Black and Wings in particular is almost exactly what we wrote for the demo. But then there's other songs like Scratching at the Surface from the album that got like totally overhauled and like they were made way better. So like the experience is one aspect of it that's really helpful, but then kind of having somebody in that seat that can be like, okay, this is a good idea, this isn't a good idea, or if like maybe some people, like folks in the band don't agree on something, you know, you can have somebody in there with like, you know, real like resume of stuff and just being like, you know, guys, look, like we should do this instead of that. So having a mediator was really big, and then having someone that's just been around and can like really write good songs was huge for us, and it definitely brought the album up like tremendously. So we're stoked, and we're so happy with how it turned out.
What kind of things were inspiring the lyrics for this album? Because there's some pretty deep lyrics there when you sit down and take a listen to it. So what kind of things were inspiring you?
Man, you know, this one, it's really kind of about the transition the band went through, I guess. Like, you know, we were in kind of one place with pretty much like one lineup before, like kind of right when we got the record deal, and then like COVID happened, and like it was just so much like life, like time in your lives. Like it took us almost 3 years to do this thing just because of everything that happened, and like, you know, people grow and things change, and like just so much stuff happened, and it's kind of about all of the songs really play into those experiences and like that journey that we went on. And they kind of each song really is a bit of a time piece for like where we were as a band at all these different points in time, and they were all written kind of in sequence. Like the order of the album is almost the order that we wrote them, with the exception of Keep Breathing, which is the last song we wrote, but we decided to make it first on the album. But yeah, it's just kind of us, what we went through in our lives and in our personal lives, and yeah, it's some super deep cut stuff, like really, really just, I don't know, lyrics for, I guess, someone else maybe that's going through something similar, and they can listen to that and just hear our experience and find like solace in that, or like some catharsis. Like there's a lot of catharsis, that's a heavy theme on this album as well. And then yeah, it's just about kind of growing and evolution and, you know, maturity, and like sticking it out through the good and through the bad.
I read a quote from Trist as well, who said that you guys had to make a lot of personal sacrifices to get the band to this level. What kind of sacrifices did you find that you had to make, and do you feel it was worth it?
Well, first of all, it's all worth it. We're really happy with how things are right now. But yeah, a lot of personal sacrifices with just, yeah, kind of spending time with family is a big one. Like as things started to snowball and move a lot more, all of a sudden, you know, we weren't able to make it out this or that, and all our folks they live in different cities, so, you know, it's more complicated to go out and see them. But we were seeing them less, and you see less of your friends, you know, and your friend groups kind of, you know, move on. They don't expect you to show up anymore because you're always busy. And then, you know, just mostly the time spent. One of the big ones was like even our girlfriends both broke up with me and Trist over the course of this whole thing, just because we were just so into the band, and as the band was our whole lives, and it was just like, you know, that just personal connection with so many things. You just don't have the time of day to, like, you know, work on it and keep things going well. So, you know, there was a bit of like an isolation element to it, completely un-COVID related too, but just like, you know, trying to make money to fund the band and then working on the band. It just was, we were pulling like 16-hour days, working like every day pretty much, especially leading up to the tour. So, you know, things changed a lot in our lives, and the people around us changed during that time. So it was a lot of sacrifice, but it's kind of bittersweet, I think, at the end of it.
Yeah. So how did COVID affect you guys? Because I'm talking to you from the city that ended up being the most lockdown city in the world. I think we were in lockdown for just over 300 days over 2 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So how did COVID affect you guys, and did it stop you from being able to release the EP when you wanted to release it, or was there difficulties recording?
Definitely the release changed, because we started like releasing songs for this thing before COVID, and, you know, with releases, you know, it's all this big, like, there's a campaign, it's all done in advance, you know, like, it's a lot of money involved too, and everything, it's all timing, you know, so like having that all start to shake down in the middle of it was like such a bummer. So we had to pause the whole thing, and then it's just like, you know, when we talked with the label and stuff, it's like, when this comes out, you guys have to tour for it, or else like we're going to be in a really tough spot. So that was pretty much it. So we you know, waited for like an opportunity to tour and support this thing for like 2 years, which was madness. But on the plus side, it did give us tons of time to just keep working on the songs and like going back and fixing little details and dialing it in. So and then even for me with singing too, it was like 2 more years of vocal experience, so that was like really helpful as well. So I mean, a lot of positives and negatives, but I don't know. In the end, it turned out good, so that's kind of like what we focus on, I guess.
Yeah. So what was it like getting back out there and doing shows again? Because the one thing I've realized here is that after 2.5 years of no shows, I'll never ever take a gig for granted again. Like, every gig is special.
Oh my god.
So
totally, man. Like 100%, I couldn't agree more with that. Like, it was so weird. Like, our first show of the tour, which was in Bellingham, it was like we hadn't played a gig in just about 3 years. So it was just so weird, like, being back out there. I was so nervous, before we went on. It was like such a rush, But then, we got back in the swing of it so quick, and it just was the greatest feeling ever to be back out there and playing. Like, I don't know, it's like we forgot what it's like, kind of. We're just like working on this band for years, nothing's really going on, and then finally it all paid off when we got to like actually see people face to face, be in the same room, and like have that connection. And it was just like oh my god, it's just the greatest.
So with the EP out there now, what are the plans for the rest of this year? Are you going to hopefully tour for the rest of the year, or will you start to work on new music for the next album or EP as well?
Well, we got a bit of a collection of demos. I met up with Trist last night actually, and we started going over some brand new stuff. Kind of post tour. It's got us fired up, so we're working on things. But we're hoping to do another tour or two, or kind of whatever we can, like anything that we can logistically manage. We want to go out and we want to play live and meet people and do that kind of stuff. So we want to do as much of that as we can, and then I don't know, we got some studio plans coming up just to get things ready for the next release. So it's on the horizon, but I don't have any exact dates as of yet.
Awesome. Well, mate, to finish up, what would you like to say to our Aussie listeners out there who are just discovering the band at the moment, are taking a listen to the EP for the first time, and is there a chance that you might come to Australia one day?
Oh man, well, I would love to come to Australia. Everybody in Two Shadows would love to go down there. We want to see everybody. We want to meet everybody, and we hope you guys love the new stuff and the new songs. And I think they're awesome. We love them, and if you love them too, then we're gonna get along great. And hope to see you at some shows down there.